Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick Nineg. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about Batman, the 1960s television show. Now, if you're a fan of Batman, any more classic TV shows and movies, make sure to check out my channel, browse, because I have over 1,700 videos for you to enjoy. But today I've covered many episodes of Batman, many videos that is on many different episodes, but I've never ever talked about the special words, the comic booky words that appear on screen during the fights, like KA-POW or ZWAP or BOOM or KERFLUNK. Any words like that. So we're going to talk about a lot of facts and information about those things. Absolutely amazing fun things that you probably never heard of. So let's get right to it. I'm sure you're going to love it because this information you won't see anywhere else. You only see it on my Rick Nineg channel. So as you know, these words were pretty awesome because the show Batman was very campy. It was very 1960s. It was very silly. But remember, it was based on a comic book. And so all these bright colors was almost like bringing the bright colored comic books to life. That's part of the fun. That's part of the cheese, right? That's what entertains us about the show. And those comic books first had those words, whether it was POW or I or Biff or whatever it may be. Those words appeared in the comic book and later they would appear on the show, kind of like you were looking at a comic strip. And I think that makes it so fun, so cool, and just added a really unique element to the show that really wasn't present anywhere else. Now, I know a lot of you like statistics, including myself. You may ask, how many of these words did they use? For example, one of them is boom. Another one is kerplunk, right? How many of those words? Those are just two. How many total did they use? Would you think 20, 40, 60? Well, the actual answer is 88, just like 88 miles per hour. Yeah, 88 unique words were used as overlays. And it's interesting to note that, for example, one of the first ones is I with A-I-E-E all the way to ZWAP, right? So in alphabetical order, usually they would come on the show and happen in alphabetical order. So maybe they would start out with K, and then in that fight scene, and then with an S, and they would be alphabetical, which is kind of fun to think about. Now, were these words only used uniquely, or were they ever repeated? Well, no, because they only use 88 of these unique words. Those words would be repeated at times. In fact, one of the most repeated ones was KA-POW, K-A-P-O-W. It was actually used 54 times throughout the course of the entire series, which is a lot. I mean, that is almost as many times as unique words that would pop up on screen. Some others that you will know, BOFF, B-O-F-F, you might remember that one, and also POW, P-O-W. Now, POW is very popular. Actually, 53 times appeared. Not as much as KA-POW, but I mean, POW makes sense. And also BOFF. I'm surprised that BOFF was used so much, but it's almost like poof, right? When you punch someone, I mean, it makes sense. So the most used word is KA-POW, followed by BOFF and POW, which is really interesting to note. Now, there were words that were used only once. Yeah, that's single words that were only used once in the entire series. There are 32 of those words. Of course, I won't go into them, but that's an interesting amount. Almost half of the words that were used were only used once during the course of the entire show, which is pretty interesting. Now, if you would sit and count how many overlays or how many individual POWs would appear throughout the entire series from episode 1 all the way to the end, well, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 830, 831, 832. So I counted all of them. There are 832 different overlays that appeared with words. Now again, some of these are repeated, some of these were unique, but if you sit down and watch the show from beginning to end, every single time a word appears and you count every single one, it's 832 times. Now, you may ask yourself, again, these are only fun, nerdy things that I like to know about, but I'm sure a lot of you do too. How many exclamation points were used? Because remember, a lot of these words actually had exclamation points, and not only one, sometimes they had multiple exclamation points. So if you were to watch the series from beginning to end and count every single exclamation point in those bright overlays, it comes out to 1,120 exclamation points that were used in those overlays. And if you need to know, which I think you need to know, the word biff, B-I-F-F, the overlay that was used was B-I-F-F and 4, not 1, but 4 exclamation points after biff, which is the most exclamation points used in one overlay. So that would be biff. Now, the episodes that you may remember, the Great Train Robbery from 68, it had the most overlays. It used 18 overlays, different words, words that were used uniquely. Just if you count in that episode, there are 18. Now, the episode The Great Escape, that was from 1968 as well, and Minerva, Mayhem, and Millionaires from 68, they have the most overlays in one single bat fight. Because remember, some episodes had multiple bat fights, but just in one single bat fight, 15 were used in The Great Escape and Minerva, Mayhem, and Millionaires. Wow, that's a lot of overlays for one episode. I hope you like this. I know it's a lot of numbers, but I think that's really fun because it gives you an idea of how much work went into this show, how many overlays they used, and I hope you really enjoyed it. Of course, I didn't show all the words on here, but just to give you an idea, to give you an interesting note. Do you have a favorite word that always stands out to you? Maybe a favorite word from the show that you like? One that you saw the most often, or maybe one that you saw only once and you really, really like? Or which ones do you remember? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to read the ones that you guys remember. Of course, I named a handful of them, but I'd love to see more. And we can see how many of these 88 we can name in the comments below. We'll see you all next time. Thank you so much for the support as always, and most importantly, be hopeful. A really big thank you to all my Diamond tier patrons: Jerry D, Stacy L, Scott R, Citizen Kane 359, Jennifer P, David D, Kevin K, Sally N, and Vito L. If you want to be on this list or receive exclusives as a great way to support the channel, visit my Patreon description below. Thank you.